Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Tampa Bay Lightning Throwback 2009 franchise mode here in NHL 23. So, in last episode, we basically started up the season after a fun free agency, and as you can see so far, we are 24, 14, and 3. It's probably because we brought in some good players in free agency. I don't really know, but we are starting to trend into a playoff direction, which is good. You can see that we brought in Brian Gionta to help out with their offense, and he's been pretty decent so far. He hasn't been, I would say, lighting the roll on fire, but he's been decent enough. But one big concern with this team has been Steven Stamkos. He has not really put up the amount of points I was expecting, especially in the goal department. He's not really taking a whole lot of shots, which is interesting too. So maybe I want to be giving him a chance on the top line for the rest of the season because Prospel technically can play center. So we could move Prospel to second line center, even though this top line has been doing well. Maybe putting Stamkos with Cavalier and St. Louis would do good for him. So I might change the complexion of the top six a little bit. But you can see our roster is getting much stronger with the addition of Matt Niskanen via trade, Marcel Goc being a fourth line center. So liking the way this team is starting to trend, except for I don't really like still the goaltending numbers, especially from Mike Smith. Which is kind of a concern, but maybe he'll be better once we get to the playoffs. But in general, I think we just need to be a little bit better of a defensive team. But I think this team should make the playoffs hypothetically in the second half unless we fall off a cliff. But anyways, before we get into simulating the rest of the season and probably making at least one trade, I do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from SweetShot61, who says Stamkos' potential dropping after 1 year is tough. So you're saying his potential dropped, or is it just because he's not producing? Let's see. Oh yeah, it did drop, because I made him a high elite. That's interesting. How did it drop though already? He's only 19. Yeah, that is kind of concerning. Let's already go ahead and do that line change I was mentioning about. So we'll put him on the top line on the left side since he's a right-handed shot. St. Louis a left-handed shot on the right side. So hopefully these guys can get some one-timers off. And hopefully we see Stamkos' points go from 20 points to 30, or not 30, 50 points or something like that. That'd be great. The next comment is from Flame Husky, who says, I got a few ideas, just things to consider. Getting a better goaltender to replace Smith would be nice, but again, goalies work in mysterious ways, so maybe not. The defense could use a top 4/top 6 rental like Ozzy Vaninen. He is a solid top 6 shutdown guy with great personality, but he can do the bomb if you know if you know you know. I don't think I know what he means by that. And he says also big F for Stamkos, not looking too good so far. So he's saying to bring in Ozzy Vaninen, which I think is probably something I'm going to be looking into doing, because I think what we'll do is we'll probably change Adam Party to our depth defenseman. Maybe might get sent down on waivers, or we trade away maybe in the deal to get Ozzy Vaninen, something like that. So we're basically upgrading that area, because I think that's the only spot we really need upgrades in is this top 6 pairing. Technically, goaltenders could be better, but honestly, I could run Craig Anderson in the playoffs if need be, and if Mike Smith actually does good in the playoffs, we keep him too. So I honestly don't think I'm going to change the goaltending situation right now, but I think defensively we'll make a little bit of an upgrade. The next comment is from Saturn Otaku, who says EA AI doing better job of running the Islanders than Garth Snow, which is true because Garth Snow and any Islanders GM pretty much has been really bad since they won all those cups. Because you look at Mike Milbury, he just completely blew that team up by getting rid of Luongo, Tim Connolly, guys like that had good potential. And Olli Jokinen even, for example. And then you had Garth Snow, who wasn't really that much better. And then you get into now the territory of where Lou Lamoriello is running a team and he's just signing everybody to long-ass contracts and all that. So, I mean, Lou's been doing a better job, I'd say, with the Islanders than the other two, but he still has been signing way too much ridiculous contracts. So, the Islanders just have a history of really terrible GMs, it seems like. And the last two and final comments are from Michael Dose. The first one says, I say playoff team with a 45-28-9 record, so that's oddly specific, but it would be nice if that is achievable for our team. And he also says Roenick 2-year contract with the Sharks, which I think Roenick actually started this franchise mode off in San Jose already, so I think he was just basically re-signing there, if I'm not mistaken. We could actually go ahead and check that out. Let's see. I'm pretty sure he was, right? Yeah, he already was in San Jose, so it wasn't like he signed with the team he already played for. But there was a lot of guys that signed with teams they played for, which is pretty damn dope. So I do like that quite a bit. But anyways, those were the comments I got in last episode. There was one other one, but it's basically just about Nikolai Zhurdev, about his party life, and I don't really want to go in depth with that type of stuff. So you guys can look up that if you want to on your own time. But let's go ahead and see if we could trade for Ozzy Vanen. And I don't remember what team he's on because I don't know if he signed somewhere else. So I'm going to have to go find where he is first. So I think he will be the perfect top 6 like Husky was mentioning. So let's see. Vaninen. You gotta love Finnish last names. Vaninen, there you go. Oh, he's in LA now. See, I would not have known that. I would not have known that. He signed a 3-year deal, but I mean, that's a cheap deal. So it's not really that bad. He's not a huge upgrade in a sense, but he's playing as a depth defenseman right now in LA, so he was playing as a depth defenseman in Vancouver, but he would probably be our top 6 defenseman. Yeah, at that contract, it's not really that bad. He's 29, so he'll be done by 32. We could always trade him if we need to. But yeah, I think that's who I'm going to be trading for, or trying to at least. There was also like Nicholas Havlid out there, which would be kind of intriguing, but let me actually take a look at Havlid first again. Actually, I should go to Trade Finder and see what the offers would be for both those type of guys. Because maybe Havlid would be the better option. Let's see, because Havlid's like an 81, I believe it said. Yeah, Havlid's a little bit better overall-wise. He is a lot older, though. He's 36, and he's probably going to be retiring soon. Matt Pettinger in a 6th-round pick, a 3rd and a 4th. Carson's in a 4th. Artukin in a 5th. Kopecky in a 6th. Interesting. Okay, so there's that. Let's take a look at what LA would want for Ozzy Vaninen. Let's see. A 3rd and a 4th is the only thing. Okay, I think I'll do the one for Vaninen. A 3rd and a 4th. He's not a right-handed shot, but it would still be an upgrade on the top 6. Yeah, he's got good shot blocking and all that type of thing. I'm pretty sure that's what I made him like, is as good of a shutdown D as possible. His offensive awareness, ignore that kind of thing. It's more just because of the advanced analytics side of things, but you can see he doesn't have good shooting and stuff like that, so he shouldn't produce at a crazy level, even with that offensive awareness. So, yeah, let's do this. A 3rd and a 4th round pick for Vanen. And unless I want to actually try and remove the 4th rounder, because I don't want to always just keep on giving up tons of picks. What if we were to throw Mats maybe into this deal instead? Because basically I don't have any use for Mats maybe because he's being depth right now. Party took his spot technically. And that's accepted, okay. So, okay, that was a good trade. So instead of having that 4th, we just get rid of Mats maybe. I like it. So we slightly upgrade our defensive core from Mats maybe to Ozzy Vaninen. It's not a substantial upgrade, but maybe it'll help out our team a bit more. Who knows? In a defensive end. We'll move Krejcik to the right side since Krejcik's a bit more offensively minded than Ozzy is. Yeah, we'll put Ozzy there, and that actually helps out with the chemistry. Perfect. I like that. Yeah, that's better. That is better. And then, yeah, Party will be our depth defender. Perfect. I think we're ready to continue simulating. We'll see how Stamkos does on that top line. Hopefully he could get that confidence back because he has not been too good so far. We're also going to take a look at, obviously, at all the AI trades that happened in this episode as well because there could be some very fun ones. So let's go to the end of this month and see if there's been any trades at the end of January. Okay, we're winning games and we're losing games still. Paul Ranger was never injured. We'll keep on simulating. A little bit inconsistent to start this episode as Curtis Foster's been injured. That's not great, but at least we do have Party to take his spot for now. Yeah, kind of back and forth between wins and losses at this stage. Matthew Schneider in a 4th for our top prospect that we literally just drafted last year in a 2nd. No, thank you. I'm not trying to trade him right now. Matthew Schneider's a good defender, but he is right near the end of his career, I think, at this stage. Let's take a look and see if Stamkos did really good during that month, because he was at 20 points. Okay, I think he is doing better, but his plus-minus is still tragic. I think he improved a little bit. He had like 9 points recently, it looks like. So he might be doing better with Le Cavalier in St. Louis. Hopefully he can get some growth, because he's at an 84 right now, and I don't want him to like stay at that point. It's probably because of the scheme fit stuff, so we might have to look for a new coach in the offseason if we want Stamkos to get some good production or something like that, because he doesn't really work that well with it. What we're going to do, let's take a look and see if there's any trades in that month. Oh, there was only ours, of course. How has Ozzy done in his first month of action with us? Because like he's more used as a depth defender on other teams. How is he doing with us so far? Is it top 6? -4 in 11 games is not ideal. He does have 1 assist. He has 10 penalty minutes, so he's a bit of an aggressive defenseman. That's one thing that is also true in real life, is he would like throw a lot of hits, I'm pretty sure, block shots, that type of thing. So I hope that he can improve a little bit plus minus wise, but not a terrible first month, but definitely the plus minus needs to be a bit better. Foster is back. That is good news, because I don't really want to be playing Adam Party as a top 4 defenseman, to be honest. There we go. Also, sorry if I sound a little bit tired. I've been like literally playing a lot of Starfield as of this recording. I literally stayed up till like 4 a.m. playing that game, so so I've been kind of just grinding that out, and I just like I want to play all night. So yeah, and I might be tired in future videos too for a little bit too, because I'm going to like a concert technically tomorrow, which obviously you guys it would have already be past that day by the time you guys see this episode, because I would go to this concert on Saturday. So Adrian Acoin and Kurt Sauer, no thank you. I do not want to get rid of Walls just yet. I wonder how Walls is doing at the AHL level. Actually, that's something we haven't taken a look at. 38, 22, and 6. How are we looking in the playoff picture? Because it's tough to tell with how the league is kind of shaped up right now. Let's go to Eastern Conference. We are currently in 3rd place. Wow, that's a lot better than I expected. And most of the teams are right around our games played, so I think we're in a good spot. We should be a playoff team, hypothetically, unless we just like completely lose every game. But we're like 12 points up on the last playoff spot, so we should be in a good spot. Buffalo's doing terribly. Oof. Yeah, they lost a lot of pieces in the offseason, so not ideal for them. Let's take a look at Stamkos' stats again, and Vannonen's stats. 38 -10 only now instead of -14, so it seems like Stamkos might be improving a bit on the top line. Not exactly sure what his points per game is right now, but and how has Ozzy been doing? Okay, Ozzy's starting to pick up more points, and he's an even 0. Probably because he's in the box a good amount of times, but he's off to a pretty good start with us. I like it. I like it. He's providing a little bit of offense, which is kind of surprising as a DFD. Let's see if there's been any trades before the deadline, and then we'll get into the deadline. I don't think I'm going to be making any more trades, but it's more just because I don't really have the assets to give up, because I don't really want to give up more picks, and I don't want to give up Walls, because he has not even played an NHL game yet. As the goaltending numbers improved, they have. Mike Smith is up to over 900, so Mike Smith has been improving. Craig Anderson's been getting worse, though, which is not ideal, but it is what it is. Is there anything that I could upgrade still, though? I don't know. How is Walls doing? Wow, Walls is having a good season. Yeah, a really solid season. The AHL is kind of weakened in a sense with these franchise modes, though. So, but he has 22 goals and 33 points plus 17. Yeah, that's not too bad. I think he has jumped up a couple overall points too. But yeah, he's developing at a pretty solid rate right now, and he's putting up points at DHL level, which is a big thing. So, yeah, I don't think I need to continue upgrading things right now. I don't think. Unless there's something out there. We'll take a look at the deadline anyways, just in case there's something cool out there on the block. But I don't think I'm going to make any more trades because of the lack of assets we have. Like, I'm not giving up our first round pick in this type of franchise mode. So, let's advance to this Atlanta game, which is the deadline. Maybe we'll go in as a buyer since we're in a playoff spot. And let's enter and see who's on the block at the trade deadline for 2010. Ilya Kovalchuk. Holy crap. Okay, I was not expecting that. Wow. If Kovalchuk gets dealt this year, that would be crazy. Columbus, Vancouver, and Montreal are in on him. Of course, he played for Montreal IRL. Scott Niedermayer's also on the block. Jeez, Pronger's on the block. Yeah, those type of guys would fetch a lot of things. Like, I bet you there's no way we could afford one of them. Like, if I go find trade for Kovalchuk, nothing's found. Niedermeyer, there is one found. Ryan, Malone, Vananen, and Carsons. See, it would take us, like, a lot of our good players to get somebody like Scott Niedermeyer. There's already been a trade, but I'm not going to look at it yet. I think it involves Fatos and Reimer is what I saw, though. Ray Whitney would cost us Ryan Malone in a second and a fourth. Yeah, see, I don't really know if it's worth trying to trade in this right now because there's a lot of good players. Fatos has already been traded. Jonas Hiller's on the block, which is weird. I don't know why Anaheim's fire selling some of these guys, but they are. Atlanta's made a trade. Ron Hainsey, Toby Peterson for some AHL guys and a pick, I guess. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to make any trades. Just these guys are all way too high valued. So let's back out of this and see what trades the AI make instead. I think we got our deal with Aussie anyways. Doesn't seem like Kovalchuk was dealt, or else we would have been probably notified about that, my guess. Let's see. So, Ville Peltonen has been traded to the Calgary Flames from the Montreal Canadiens. So there's one trade. Steve Bégin and Nick Wallin go to Detroit from Nashville. Calgary has acquired Victor Kozlov and Colin Stewart for a prospect and a second. LA's acquired Adrian Aucoin for a second and a third. Buffalo's acquired some prospects for a fourth and a fifth and two others. I don't know what that is. Phoenix acquires a second and a third for a third, and Kurt Sauer. Some really weird trades like that. TJ Hensick and a fourth, which is just an AHL guy. I didn't make TJ Hensick, I think, in this build, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think I did. But he gets traded with a fourth for a second and a third. Chris Campoli gets traded from Ottawa to Chicago. He played in Chicago IRL. Brendan Bell also goes with him, though, for Tyson Barrie. So Chicago offloads Tyson Barrie before he gets to play an NHL game to get Chris Campoli. And Ottawa's got a good, solid defensive prospect now. In an offensive standpoint, I should say. Nashville's acquired Ben Guite, which I believe he played there at one point, for Kevin Klein. Interesting that Kevin Klein gets dealt already. Dallas has acquired Dustin Penner for 2 second-rounders. That's interesting. Dustin Penner going to Dallas. Ottawa's got a couple prospects, and one prospect, Rocky Kid, which is a cool name, and Sheldon Brookbank, for Chris Kelly. So Chris Kelly hits to Anaheim a bit early. That's interesting. Yeah, I like it when players go to teams that they used to play for. It just makes it a lot more intriguing. The Carolina Hurricanes did move on from Tim Gleason and Nick Havlid. They get a second and a fourth rounder back. Maybe we should have went for Nick Havlid. I don't know. Gleason would have been a nice addition too. Oh, and Montreal fans, I'm sorry. You have already traded Thomas Plekanec. You trade Thomas Plekanec, Daryl Sador, and a fifth rounder. And, of course, you get 2 second-rounders and a French goaltender in Jonathan Bernier. So, I don't know why they're trying to go for Jonathan Bernier, considering they have Carey Price already. But they bring in Bernier, and they already have still, I think, Yaroslav Halak. So, they have a lot of goaltenders. I don't know why they're bringing in Bernier, but maybe it just was an add-on to offload Plekanec and Daryl Sador. Vancouver's acquired Dan Hamhuis. Let's go. Dan Hamhuis is going to Vancouver pretty much right around the time he did in real life. I like it. And Christian Backman for 2 second-rounders. Detroit acquires Rich Peverley and Johan Hedberg. So for the second consecutive year, the Atlanta Thrashers have traded their goaltending. It's obviously Gare, but damn. And they acquire second-rounder. Robin Leonard has already been dealt before his debut. That's kind of a surprise because when Detroit drafted him, I was thinking, hey, Detroit likes Swedes. Why didn't they hold on to him? I don't know. They do bring in another Swede, though, in Hedberg, so I guess it kind of makes sense. Florida's got Scott Upshall and Todd Fedoruk, so Upshall going to Florida like he did in real life at some point, I think. To a second-rounder and a third going back the other way. Anaheim gets Tom Gilbert and Ethan Morrow for a second, a third, and some prospect. Zbigniew McCulloch going to St. Louis early. I think he was briefly in St. Louis, like near the end of his career, for a prospect, a fourth, and a fifth. Some prospect, a third, and a third for Ron Hainsey, who heads to Washington with Toby Peterson. And then there's the Svatos trade, which Svatos and a fourth goes to Toronto. Colorado gets a prospect, a second, and two others. So Marek Svatos is a Leaf. I don't like that. Do not like that at all. So those were the trades at the trade deadline for 2010. Kind of a big deadline by comparison to last year. Some intriguing trades. Sucks that Kovalchuk didn't get dealt, but that means he might be a pending free agent this offseason, or he might be a free agent this offseason. Scott Niedermayer also didn't get dealt, and Chris Pronger, so there might be a pretty good free agent class this offseason, which is kind of nice. Let's continue simulating and see how we finish off this second season. Because obviously we want to make the playoffs now at this rate, and if we make the playoffs, hopefully we could go far in it, because playoff episodes, if we get to a cup finals and lose, that's just going to take away a lot of other time from the series. Jay McKee on waivers, $4 million. Not really interested in a guy making $4 million as a top 6, to be honest. Even if it's only for a year. No, thank you. We're losing a couple games here in a row, but there was a win over the Leafs. We should be a playoff team at this rate, I think, still. We are losing a lot more than usual. Let's see. We have not clinched a playoff spot, but we're probably very close, as the Caps have already clinched here in the Southeast. Let's keep on simulating. We should clinch within these next few games, likely. Florida and the Islanders, both losses. Oh my. Our team's trying to fall off right here near the end. Did we clinch yet? We did clinch. We have clinched a playoff spot for the first time in this franchise mode, so that's exciting. We'll finally get to experience some playoff hockey with this Lightning team. So let's just go all the way to the end pretty much and see how the season wraps up. Last game of the season against the Rangers is a win. So we win 3 straight games going into the playoffs. We finished 44-30-8. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. That was kind of close. Yeah, that was pretty close to Michael's prediction. He said 45-28-9. So not too bad on the prediction there, Michael. Let's see if everybody else is simulated fully, which they have. Perfect. Okay. Let's get into the team stats and player stats and wrap up the regular season, and then we'll see who we're facing in the first round of the playoffs. So we were the second team in the East, or not in the East, in the Southeast Division. We are the only one of only 2 teams to make it from our division to make the playoffs. Florida, Atlanta, Carolina all missed out on the playoffs. Let's take a look at some other divisions. The Northeast, Boston won the Northeast, so Boston now in the playoffs. Last year they weren't, but like I said, I think they would make the playoffs this year, and they did that. Toronto also makes the playoffs, which is kind of a surprise. Ottawa did not make the playoffs, same with Buffalo, Montreal, and that's it. We head to the Atlantic. Pittsburgh has clinched the Atlantic, and they clinched the entire Eastern Conference. They were a really good team this year, and yikes. They might win a Stanley Cup here. They might. Or be a first-round exit. The Islanders also make the playoffs, which is a huge surprise. Probably because of the free agent signings they had. The Devils also made the playoffs, and the Rangers do. The Flyers are the only team from the Atlantic to miss out. Then we head over to the Western Conference. The Pacific Division was won by the Phoenix Coyotes. That's kind of a surprise. Dallas at 2, LA at 3, and San Jose at 4. Anaheim missed out on the playoffs this year. Wow. Okay. Probably because that's why they were probably fire selling guys at the deadline. That makes sense. Northwest Division. Minnesota's the only team to make it out of the Northwest, and they also clinched the Western Conference. So the Western Conference is a bit weak in this franchise mode. Only with 99 points. And then you have Vancouver missed out, Calgary, Colorado, and Edmonton. Of course, Edmonton did. In the Central Division, the Detroit Red Wings won it. Nashville's 2, Columbus was 3, and St. Louis just missed out on the playoffs by the skin of their teeth. They had the same amount of points, but less regulation wins and less ROW. Chicago also missed out on the playoffs, which is a surprise considering this is technically the year they should have won the Stanley Cup. Let's see, who was the best team in the league? Yeah, it was Pittsburgh by a country mile. 14-point differential between them and Boston. Wow. We finished, though, as the 6th best team in the entire NHL, so that's kind of nice. Good change up from last year. Goals for per game wise, Pittsburgh was the best offensive team. We were where? We were top 15, I guess. We did still allow more goals than we scored, which is interesting. But we made the playoffs in a good spot. Yeah, we're not the best defensive team by far. Power play percentage-wise, we were one of the best teams on the power play. That's nice. And our penalty kill was one of the best as well, so special teams are good. I like it. 7 short-handed goals, 21-17-3 on home ice, and 23-13-5 on the road. 5-4-1 in our last 10 games. Let's actually take a look at the entire Eastern Conference. Okay, so yeah, we were in the 4th spot. So likely if it's set up properly, which I don't think it is, though, we'd be playing Toronto first round. And then you'd have like Washington, the Islanders, Boston, and New Jersey, Pittsburgh, and I guess, yeah, the Rangers. Because Ottawa just missed out because of tiebreaker. Because Ottawa had more regulation wins, but I don't know why Ottawa didn't get into the playoffs over the Rangers. It must have been, there must be something that I'm just completely missing. I don't know, but there you go. Let's take a look at our player stats for the 2009-10 season. So Le Cavalier, 77 points this year, so he kind of dropped off a little bit, but still right around point per game, 42 goals. He's been one of our best players in this franchise mode, which is great. Stamkos, 44 points, minus 14. A little bit of an improvement, but not a huge one. Like, goal scoring was down, his assist went up. Is he developing overall wise? He did jump to an 85. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to get him into a guy that's like his actual self in real life. But it doesn't seem like it right now. Halpern, 38 points. Gotch, 22 points. Not bad depth scoring. Prospel had 86 points. Jeez. Prospel's a pretty damn good player. Yeah, I like that. Be interesting to see what he could do in the playoffs. He is very close to retirement, though, which is not ideal. Because if we lose him, that's a big hole to fill, technically. Ryan Malone, 55 points, pretty solid. Matt Pettinger, 20 points. I'll take it. St. Louis, 84 points. How much does that compare to last year? Less as well. That's kind of surprising since we missed the playoffs last year. Gianno had 61 points in his first season here. Not too bad. Yeah, that's ideal. That's the ideal amount from him. 33 goals definitely helped us out. Adam Hall, 26 points. Artukin, 19 points. Downey, 16 points. Kopecky, 2 points in 4 games. These two guys take a lot of penalties. I'm not really ideal. Like, I don't really like the guys that take a ton of penalties in a sense, but I mean, okay, it's okay for now, I guess. Mazeros was pretty solid. Not as good as last year where he almost won the Norris, but still had a pretty okay season. I will take it. Curtis Foster brought in 30 points from the back end, so that's nice. Niskanen, 24 points. Not too bad. Ranger, 21. Krejcek, 15. Vananen had 11 points in 41 games, plus 3. So he helped us out a bit on the back end defensively. And Party played 10 games with 3 points and a plus 7. Not bad. Goaltending-wise, Mike Smith did definitely improve, but yeah, Craig Anderson fell off a little bit. So I don't know who's going to... I think, well, Mike Smith will probably start the playoffs, but either or could go. Like, we could easily alternate each game. Oh, let's go. That's the first time in my friggin' channel history a goaltender has scored a goal, and of course it has to be Mike Smith. What a legend. Oh my goodness, I never had a goalie on my team score. It's always been AI teams. Of course it had to be Mike Smith, the guy that actually scored a goal IRL. And probably because I gave him really good passing stats, he was able to put it into an empty net. Wow. 1 goal, 2 assists for 3 points. Shout out to Mike Smith for actually doing probably what he did IRL around this point in time. Because I don't remember when he scored his goal. I feel like it was like 2012. It was definitely with the Yotes. But that is sick. I love that. Let's take a look at around the league as well for points. See who finished where. So Crosby was the best point getter with 108. Gabrick was number 2 with 104. Alfie had 101 on a non-playoff team. Jeez. Sedin up there with 98. Stahl 94. Okay. The type of guys you would see. Best goal scorer was Marian Gabrick with 62 goals. Jeez. That's a lot of goals. Next closest was Kovalchuk with 54, and he's a pending free agent. And then you have also Eric Stahl up there. Daniel Sedin had 50 goals. That's kind of weird. Ovechkin had 49. Huh. Interesting. So there is some forward stats. Let's take a look at Selke candidates as well, because might as well. Probably Datsuk, my guess. Yep, Pavel Datsuk again. Great face-offs, great takeaways. As he should. As he should. Let's take a look at some defensive stats here now. Oh my god! Gonchar did do it. When we were looking at Gonchar's stats last episode, I didn't think he was going to do it, but he's going to win an Art Ross. He outscored Sidney Crosby. Yeah, he outscored Sidney Crosby by like 6 points. 114 points in 78 games for Sergei Gonchar. I might have made him too good. Oh my goodness. That's the most I think I've seen from a defenseman since Morgan Griffin in my Houston series. Lidstrom had 84, which was the next closest. That's a 30-point gap. Craziness. Wow, okay. I completely forgot about Gonchar being that good right now. So there is that goalie-wise. Marc-Andre Fleury led in wins. Most shutouts, Cristobal Huet, Nikolai Hebby-Bolin in Toronto, and Nick Backstrom. Best save percentage by a starter was Turco with a .918. Pretty good. Best goals against average was, by a starter, Marc-Andre Fleury. I don't really know who the Vezina favorite is at this stage, but that's okay. And then was Smith the only goalie to score? He was. Oh, I love to see it. Love to see it. Best rookie this year was John Tavares with 30 points, but he was a -10. All the rookies in this class still were really bad plus-minus, except for Duchesne, who was only a -1. So Matt Duchesne might end up winning the Calder because of the plus-minus. This Ducharme guy, who's not even a guy that I put in here, really, is a -28. Interesting. Okay. Any good rookie goalies this year? Dan Lacoste is apparently still listed as a rookie. Interesting. So there is all of that. Let's take a look at who we are playing in round 1. And then that'll be pretty much it for this episode. Let's see. What are we going up against? The Toronto Maple Leafs. Okay, so it is Toronto. So we are going to be playing Marek Svatos in the first round. So you guys know the playoff tree. Minnesota, San Jose, Phoenix, and Columbus, Nashville, Dallas, Detroit, and LA. And then in the East, you have Pittsburgh and the Rangers, Boston and New Jersey, Caps and Islanders, and then us in Toronto. Okay. One thing we want to take a look at first, though, is how Toronto is simulated compared to us regular season-wise. Because I don't know what they simulated like, really. We didn't really compare us yet. So we scored 10 more goals than them. They allowed way less goals, so they're a better defensive team. We were better on the power play, and we were better on the penalty kill. Okay, that makes sense. Let's take a look at what their roster looks like. We know that they have Hebby-Bolin between the pipes, which is going to be interesting since he used to play for Tampa. But let's see what they are working with here. So, top line, Nick Hagman, Matt Stajan, and Lee Stempniak. Interesting. Not the best top line. It's still pretty solid. Probably similarly solid, too. They have actually some pretty solid depth in terms of their wingers, too. Yeah, this is a well-structured team, which is kind of a surprise for this Leafs team around this point in time. But Svatos they brought in. They have Grabowski still, Kuhlman. Jason Blake is on the third line with Vernon Fiddler of all people, and then Alexei Ponikarovsky still there. And a fourth line of Nigel Dawes, Jamal Mayers, and John Mitchell. Yeah, that's not a bad forward core. How did Svatos deal with them? 12 points in 16 games. Yikes. Yeah, it's a pretty good forward core. Defensively, it's pretty solid too. They have Thomas Caberlet, Pavel Kabina. Derek Morris went over there. That's an interesting addition. Some solid offense from the blue line. Nathan Oystrick also went over there. They still have Strawman and Ian White. Not the best defensive core for sure. Like they have the good top two, but this bottom four, not as good. But Morris and White are okay. Strawman too, but Oystrick, kind of more of a depth defenseman, I'd say, in my opinion. Goaltending wise, yep, there is Hebby-Bolin and Antero Niederbacke also went there, so they've changed a lot since year one. Hebby-Bolin had a 900 save percentage this year, and wasn't, yeah, below 500 record. He lost a lot more games than he won. which means Ninamaki must have been decent. Yeah, Ninamaki was really good, and he's probably the reason Toronto made it into the playoffs. He had a really good season as the backup. Huh. And depth-wise, they have Luke Shen, who's just been scratched, chilling on the bench. He didn't play at all this season. He was just a complete depth piece. Yikes. They also have Patrick Curry randomly from the AHL, and Jeff Finger is also scratched. And he's still making 3.5, which is not great. He did get to play some games this year, though. So there is that Leafs team. And anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Tampa Bay Lightning Throwback 2009 franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against the Toronto Maple Leafs as we look to get to the second round and beyond that, because we don't have a lot of time to win a Stanley Cup. So this might be one of our best chances yet. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.